Hello, welcome back to 10 at 10. My name is Michael Ramage. I'm the director of the Cyber Education Research Center here at Murray State University, and welcome back to 10 at 10. 10 at 10 is brought to you through a partnership between Murray State University, Sprocket, West Kentucky, and KY Innovation. Welcome back to episode 285 of 10 at 10. And today we're going to talk about a topic that, we do it every day. We talk about it every day, but we don't use the term, and it's risk management. Risk management. I got a question the other day about what is risk management? Why does it matter? And frankly, risk management is the underlying principle and reason that we do cybersecurity. Cybersecurity wouldn't be a field if not for managing risk. So I thought we would dig into it, and we would start it by thinking about a hypothetical. What would happen if you lost everything on your phone today? What's on your phone, and what would you lose? Do you care if you lose your phone? I mean, there's the cost of actually replacing this phone if you lost it, but think about the contents on it. Your family photos, your banking apps, your email, your passwords, your contacts. How many times have you seen on social media that somebody says, "Hey, I lost my phone. Would everybody send me your phone number?" Well, that happens a lot. How many people lose their phone, drop their phone in the water, whatever it might be, and it's the only place they have a picture? It happens quite a bit. So risk management, or risk is losing your phone. Risk management is doing something so that if you do lose your phone, then it could be minimized. It is simply making good decisions before something bad happens. Bad things happen and we can't stop it. What we can do is make good decisions along the way so that if that bad thing does happen, that we have done everything we can to make the outcome as positive as that possibly can be. So let me dig into that. That was kind of complicated. So risk itself is the chance that something bad could happen that affects something you value. It could be a person, it could be a thing. And it's not that we're not sitting here saying that, you don't really love me because you didn't list me on your risk management plan. I mean, that's not what we're doing. What we're saying is that everything that we find valuable has obviously a value, and we need to plan for it accordingly. For example, you lock your house because you have valuables inside your house. You wear a seatbelt. Now, I remember when seatbelt wasn't a law, and yes, I'm that old. And a lot of people didn't wear their seatbelt because they didn't want to, and then the law passed and they started doing it. But it's to protect us. You may not wear a seatbelt, but you want your loved ones to wear a seatbelt because it may save their life if they're in an accident. Buying insurance. People have emergencies that happen medically, and we want them to have insurance to take care of themselves. Saving money for emergencies. We manage risk every day. We just don't call it risk management, but we are managing risk. You do that in your day-to-day life. You make a decision every day. How many of you have taken a nap while you've driven? No, because the risk of you having a wreck and dying is pretty high if you fell asleep while driving. So anyway, that's risk. Now, risk management is identifying the risk and deciding what to do about that risk before they become problems. You do that by 4 simple steps. 1, you identify what could go wrong. What could go wrong? There is a chance that Murray, Kentucky, where I am sitting right now, could have a hurricane. There's a chance. Not a very high chance. So step 2 is decide how serious it would be. It would be pretty serious, but the chance of it is pretty low. So decide what steps you want to take to reduce that risk. And then you continue to pay attention to that because the circumstances could change. Let me give maybe a more realistic example. Fire. You have homeowners insurance because your house could burn down. Now, you have homeowners insurance not to stop the fire from happening, but if your house burned down, you would have to figure out a place to live. You would have to replace all your belongings. So you get insurance to help mitigate that risk. You lock your door to reduce the risk of somebody breaking in, to secure your house. Fire would be a little bit further, but we think about, okay, there's a risk of different things happening. We accept the risk, we mitigate the risk, we transfer the risk, really is what we're doing in insurance, or we avoid the risk. There's things that we're doing all the time. We drive a car every day. There's a risk of us getting in an accident. To help manage that risk, we wear a seatbelt, we follow traffic laws, we keep our car maintained, and we carry insurance. So there's a lot that we can do that goes into risk management that we do every day. So when we're talking about cybersecurity risk management, it's not just about hackers and stopping hackers. Sure, that's included, but it is what information do we have that is valuable? What could happen to it? How likely is it to happen? How bad would it be? And what can we do to lower the risk? And I guess I should add also, what is your level of risk appetite? So maybe you have bank account information, you have medical records, you have email addresses, you have your identity, you have photos. There's a lot things that are worth protecting, but what could happen or how likely it is, some things are a pretty low risk of happening. There's a pretty high risk that somebody that's listening to this has had ransomware, and been the victim of a ransomware attack. So that's a pretty high likelihood of happening. The risk of a Russian hacker stealing my phone in Murray, Kentucky is much lower. So anyway, there's a lot of those different pieces that we need to think about. And then, what can we do to lower the risk? We're not preventing every risk. Hear me out. We can do all the risk management things that are practical and that we should do, and we still have that bad thing happen. What we're hoping and we're thinking about with security is that if that bad thing happens, that we've reduced the impact, that it's not as bad as it could have been because of those things that we did. This is the fundamental principle for me. Cybersecurity in general isn't about preventing every attack. There are thousands of bad guys and one person defending. The odds of you stopping every single attack is slim to none. Matter of fact, there are laws that will give you cover if you have a cyber attack, if you've done the industry best practices. That's the key piece. You have to do the industry best practices. It is about reducing the chance of that attack, and it's about reducing the impact of that attack. That's what we're talking about. Maybe if you get hit with ransomware, it's isolated to that one computer, not to your servers. Maybe if you get a virus, it stays on your computer. Or maybe if an email box is compromised, it's caught before they're able to do anything and move across your network. There is a lot about that we can do. We can't eliminate every risk. We just can't. But you can make yourself a harder target. You've heard me talk about the cost benefit analysis of attacking, of cybersecurity. We can make us harder to attack, a much harder target and it more costly to do something about it. So anyway, there's a lot of things that we could go from here, and I will tell you, last thing is that you can hope that you're not a victim of a cyber attack, but hope doesn't really do anything in this world anymore, particularly in the cybersecurity world. You need to prepare. And risk management is that methodology that can help you prepare of how do you manage the risk within your organization. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions about risk management, want to have a continue this conversation, I would be happy to find some time to sit down with you and talk through it. And if you have questions, let me know. If not, I'll see you next week back here on 10 at 10. Thank you. Bye.